Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. And students, before we start with this lecture, with this session, I must share a very important thing. Impossible itself denotes I am possible. So students, what I mean to say is that there is nothing in this world which you can't achieve. With dedication, devotion and concentrated effort, every and each dream of yours can come true, provided you desire to achieve success. And for that, you need to concentrate more on your hard work. Hard work is indeed very hard, but in order to realize your dreams, you need to go through those tough phases which life keeps on throwing on us. With that, let's start our session. Today we'll continue with the applications of Biot-Savart law. We have already done the expression for the magnetic field at a point due to a straight current carrying conductor. Then we have found the expression for the magnetic field at the center of a current carrying coil. Now students, in this article, what we are supposed to do is, we are supposed to find out the expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a current carrying loop or a current carrying circular coil. So before we start with this particular topic, we need to be aware of certain terminology like magnetic moment. This is the term which we will first discuss before doing this article. So magnetic moment, or it is known as magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic moment, it will be represented by capital letter M. Just like students, electric dipole moment, right? Similarly, in magnetism, we'll discuss magnetic dipole moment. Now we are aware, if the current flows through a loop, then it behaves as a magnet. One face of the loop behaves as a south pole, while the other face of the loop behaves as a north pole. So basically, any current carrying loop behaves as a magnetic dipole. That is, it behaves as a magnet. So, in case the current through a loop appears to be flowing in the clockwise direction. Suppose this is a loop and the current appears to be flowing in the clockwise direction. Then at the center, the magnetic field lines will appear to be entering into the plane, isn't it? So as a result, this face will act as the south, because the magnetic field lines, it emits from the north pole and terminates at the south pole, outside the magnet, while inside the magnet it is from south to north. So basically it's in the form of continuous closed loop, but outside the body of the magnet, the field lines are directed from north to south, and inside the body of the magnet, it's directed from south to north. Right? So, in case of a closed current carrying loop, the current seems to be flowing in the clockwise direction. Then, this face of the loop will behave as the south pole, where the magnetic field lines will seem to enter this plane of the loop. Clear, students? So, this is a simple analogy to remember this particular fact. While on the other hand, if the current through a loop appears to be flowing in the anti-clockwise direction, in such a case, the magnetic field lines at the center would appear to be coming out of the loop. So in such a case, this face of the loop will behave as north pole. It can be remembered by this analogy. This is a simple diagram, you can retain it. So again I repeat, any current carrying loop, whether the current is flowing in the loop in the clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, one face of the loop through which the current appears to be flowing in the clockwise direction, that will behave as the south pole, while the other face of the loop through which current appears to be flowing in the anti-clockwise direction, that face of the loop will behave as the north pole. So a current carrying loop does behave as a magnetic dipole. So since it behaves as a magnetic dipole, it must possess some magnetic moment, and that is the topic which we intend to study over here, right? So magnetic moment of a current carrying loop is mathematically or quantitatively defined as the product of the ampere turns and the area of the loop under consideration. N is the total number of turns. In case of a single turn, N would be equal to 1. I is the current flowing through each loop and A is the area of the loop. In case we are considering a circular loop, area would be pi r square. In case we are considering a square loop, the area would be side square. So, the magnetic moment of a current carrying loop is defined as the product of the ampere turns and the area of the loop under consideration. Ni. N is the total number of identical turns, I is the current flowing through each turn. So Ni stands for ampere turns. It is known as ampere turns. And A, it is the area of the loop under consideration. It is the area of the loop under consideration. So this is the formula for the magnetic moment of a current carrying loop. Now regarding its SI unit, N, which is the number of turns, it definitely would have no unit. I is the current, its unit is ampere. A is the area. SI unit of area is meter square. So SI unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square. So students, simply remember, any current carrying loop, closed loop of any shape, it behaves as a magnetic dipole. One face of it will behave as south pole, while the other face of it will behave as north pole. The face of the loop where the magnetic field line seems to enter will behave as south, and the face of the loop from where the magnetic field line seems to come out of the plane of the loop, that face will behave as a north polarity. So basically, any closed current carrying loop will behave as a magnetic dipole, and since it behaves as a magnet, it must possess magnetic moment. So in the case of current carrying loop, the magnetic moment is given by the product of the ampere turns and the area of the loop under consideration. So SI unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square. Now coming back to this particular topic. Now our motive is to find the expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a current carrying loop, right? Now we need to first discuss the term axis of a loop. Now look, here what we have considered is this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. This is the z-axis, right? We have considered here a circular coil of radius r, and suppose current is flowing in the anti-clockwise direction like this, right? This is the current I flowing in the anti-clockwise direction, and this loop is assumed to be placed in the yz plane with its center coinciding with the origin. So we are considering a circular current carrying loop of radius r whose plane lies in the yz plane with its center coinciding with the origin. So in that case, this line, x-axis, it will act as the axis of the loop. It is the axis of the loop. So how to define axis? Axis is any imaginary line which is passing through the center of the circular loop and perpendicular to its plane. So that is known as the axis of the loop. Right students? So in this case, since we have considered this current carrying loop to be lying in the yz plane, therefore x-axis, which is perpendicular to its plane and passing through its center, will behave as its axis. Right? So our objective is, this is any observation point, suppose this is point P. So our main intention is to find an expression for the magnetic field at point P, which is on the axis of this current carrying loop. Right? So for that, we have to make use of Biot-Savart law. So here, let's consider a small elementary portion. Let us consider this to be dl. So we are aware of current element. Magnetic field at a point is due to current element. Now current element is always directed along the direction of the flow of current. So at this point, the current element would be directed like this. This is current element, I dl vector, right? This is the center of the elementary portion, this is the observation point. So suppose this is the distance. This is the distance of the observation point from the center of the elementary portion. If this is r and this may be considered to be x, the distance of point P from the center of the loop, then this distance using Pythagoras theorem may be written as square root of r square plus x square. This will be the distance. Simply make use of Pythagoras theorem, right? So, as per the Biot-Savart law, the small magnetic field at point P due to this small elementary portion, it's given by dB in magnitude. It's given by mu naught I dl sine theta divided by 4 pi distance square. Here the distance is this one. The distance is between the center of the elementary portion to the observation point. So this is r square plus x square square root. And the whole square of it will give us r square plus x square. Right? Theta, students, you remember, theta is the angle which the direction of the flow of the current makes with the line joining the center of the elementary portion to the observation point. Now, this angle is 90 degree. This is angle theta. This is the direction of the current element, and this is the line joining the center of the elementary portion to the observation point. So the angle between these two is 90 degree. So here theta is 90 degree. Right? You can consider this plane, and this is the line, and this is where the current element is directed in the YZ plane. So the angle which it makes with the line joining the center of the elementary portion to the observation point, that will naturally make an angle of 90 degree. So what we get is dB is equal to mu naught I dl divided by 4 pi, sin 90 would be 1, r square plus x square. Put this as equation number 1. Now students, we are aware magnetic field is a vector quantity, so it has got both magnitude as well as direction. In the vector form we have discussed magnetic field, it is perpendicular to ideal vector, as well as students it is perpendicular to this distance. Suppose it is r cap, or rather it can be considered to be a cap. So it is also perpendicular to this distance, a cap. Isn't it? So it is perpendicular to the plane in which ideal vector and a cap lies. So magnetic field at this point, due to the small elementary portion, can be diagrammatically represented in this manner. This is dB vector. Look, magnetic field in the vector form is given by mu naught ideal vector cross a cap divided by 4 pi a square. This distance is considered to be a, suppose. Right? This is the formula. So by using the properties of the vector product, dB vector should be perpendicular to both ideal vector as well as it should be perpendicular to a cap. So vectorially, dB vector may be represented in diagram in this particular manner. This is a cap and this is dB vector, which is perpendicular to it. Clear, students? This is the actual representation of magnetic field at point P due to the small elementary portion. Now suppose this angle is alpha. Let us consider this angle to be alpha, this angle. Now let us consider a vertical line over here. This will be x-axis, isn't it? This will be x-axis. Now this is alpha, so the remaining angle would be 90 minus alpha. This angle would be 90 minus alpha. This is 90 degree. So if this angle is 90 minus alpha, so the remaining angle would be alpha. So this angle would be equal to this angle. Now dB being a vector quantity, we can resolve it into two components. One along the positive y-axis, the other along the positive x-axis. This is y-axis. So resolving dB into two components, what we get is, this will be dB cos alpha and this component would be dB sin alpha. Clear, students? So dB cos alpha and dB sin alpha are the components and perpendicular components of magnetic field dB. One along the positive y-axis, the other along the positive x-axis. Now students, let's talk about the symmetry. Now what to do is, we'll consider a corresponding diametrically opposite elementary portion. Like here we'll consider another elementary current carrying element. Right? So here its direction would be like this. It will be towards this direction. It will be given by drawing a plane. This is ideal vector. Now, the distance of the center of this elementary portion to this observation point due to the symmetry, again it will be same, r square plus x square square root. Right? This is r, this is x. Again by Pythagoras theorem you can easily determine this distance. This is alpha. So due to symmetry, this angle would be also equal to alpha. So what I mean to say is that the strength of the magnetic field due to the two corresponding symmetrical diametrically opposite elementary portions would be same, each of magnitude this, right? And what about the direction? It will be like this. This is D. This is the small magnetic field at point P due to this small elementary portion. So due to symmetry, this is alpha, so this will also become alpha. Here also dB can be resolved into two components. One along the negative y-axis, it will be dB cos alpha, and the other along the positive x-axis, that is dB sin alpha. Now students, please concentrate on this particular diagram. The component of the magnetic field dB cos alpha of diametrically opposite elementary portions being equal in magnitude and oppositely directed tend to get cancelled out in pairs. So there are several elementary portions. So the component of dB cos alpha of diametrically opposite elementary portions, they all will be equal in magnitude and being oppositely directed, they tend to get cancelled out. So the net contribution of the magnetic field at point P would be only and only due to the component dB sin alpha. And in the loop there are not only these two components, there are various other components. All the component dB sin alpha will add up because they all will be directed along x direction. While dB cos alpha component of diametrically opposite elementary portions will get nullified, right? So the net magnetic field at a point on the axis, which is point P due to this current carrying loop, is given by integration of dB sin alpha. There are not these two elementary portions, there are infinite elementary portions. So we need to represent it by integration of dB sin alpha, right? So let's substitute the value and solve it. dB, the magnitude of dB, we are aware of it. It is mu naught I dl divided by 4 pi r square plus x square. Sin alpha, students, you can consider this right angle triangle. Sin alpha is perpendicular by hypotenuse. So what do you get is r divided by hypotenuse. It is r square plus x square, square root of this. So the constant term can be taken outside the integration. So what we get is mu naught I r divided by 4 pi r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2 integration of dl. Rest all these terms are constant, so it can be taken outside the integration. Now students, integration of dl, if we add these elementary portions, that will definitely give us the circumference of the loop, and circumference of the circular loop of radius r is 2 pi r. So what you get is mu naught I r integration of dl would be 2 pi r and 4 pi r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. So try to rearrange the terms. What you get is pi get cancelled, 2 will be left with 2 in the denominator. So we get mu naught I r square divided by twice r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. So students, this is the expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a current carrying circular loop, right? So this is the magnitude, and regarding the direction, you can well notice from that diagram, the net magnetic field at point is directed towards the positive x-axis. So that's the net direction. In case we reverse the current, then the direction will have got different, but in any case it will be perpendicular to the plane of the loop. Whether in the outward direction or inward, it depends on the direction of the current, whether it is flowing in the clockwise direction or anti-clockwise. But the point is, it will be always perpendicular to the plane of the loop. Right? Now let's discuss some very, very important special cases. If we consider the loop to consist of n identical turns, right? Let's deal with some special cases. Let's discuss case 1. If it consists of n identical turns. N identical turns. Then the net magnetic field at a point on the axis would be given by n times the magnetic field at that point due to a single turn. So this is the formula. So n times of this. So what we get is n mu naught I r square divided by twice r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. This is the formula for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a current carrying loop consisting of n identical turns, right? Case 2. Let's represent the above expression in terms of the magnetic moment of the loop. Just before starting this article, we have discussed any current carrying loop behaves as a magnetic dipole. One phase behaves as a south pole while the other phase behaves as a north pole. So the magnetic moment of such a current carrying loop is given by ampere turns into area of the loop under consideration. So here, since it's a circular loop of radius r, so what is the area of the loop? It will be equal to pi r square. So this is the magnetic moment of this current carrying loop, right? So what we can do is, we can rearrange the terms. Dividing and multiplying by pi, we get n mu naught I pi r square divided by 2 pi r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. So what we have done is, we have simply multiplied and divided by pi. So in that case, what we get is n I into pi r square. That can be substituted by capital N, which is the magnetic moment. So what we get is mu naught n into I into pi r square. That will give you the magnetic moment, that is capital N, divided by 2 pi r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. So students, this is the expression for the magnetic field at any arbitrary point which lies on the axis of a current carrying loop in terms of the magnetic moment of the loop, right? And third case, case 3. Case 3 is when the observation point lies at a very, very far away distance as compared to the dimensions of the loop. That is, we are considering when x is very, very large as compared to r. When the dimension of the loop is negligible as compared to the distance of the observation point P from the center of the loop. So in such a case, what we can do is x square plus r square. It can be written as x square. R is very, very small. So the higher powers of r, that is r square, can be neglected in comparison to x square, isn't it? So in this case, in this special case, we get mu naught m, divided by 2 pi, and over here r square plus x square may be written only as x square to the power 3 by 2. So what you get is mu naught m divided by 2 pi x cube. It may also be written in this particular manner, twice mu naught m divided by 4 pi x cube. So this is the magnetic field at a point on the axis of the loop when the dimensions of the loop is negligible as compared to the distance of the observation point on the axis from the center of the dipole. So student, this is again a very, very important result, right? So we have completed this article. Along with that, we have discussed the special cases associated with this article. So I hope you have understood this particular article. Do practice, right? Do practice it by doing this article. And I hope you have understood each and every concept involved in this article. So join me in my next lecture. Till then, do take very good care of yourself. Thank you.